folks, and welcome to another Saturday morning Samoflange. I'm Matt by myself, hopefully for the last time here, and we are talking about the top 5 best years of my life. We thought about doing this for episode 300, oddly enough, and I said no because I could not think of 5 years, that's what I said. But as I started thinking about it months later, I think I can pick out the top 5. Now, here's the thing. I am probably forgetting some really good years here. Some really great years. There are some years that some great things happened that particular year that maybe would trump another year. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, but the thing, like for certain things, like 99 was the last year I was in college. 2000 was the year I was out of college, you know. There are some other years, too, that had really awesome things happen, but were they the best? Were they the best? I don't know. And then there's another year that I cannot remember. One year my wife and I went to a lot of Comic Cons, and that was a lot of fun. And maybe that would be my honorable mention. I'm stuck between 2 years. And the thing is, I cannot remember what year that would be. I want to say 2013. You know, may have been the year that I'm thinking about. 2013, we went to a ton. I mean, like 6, like one every other month, it felt like. Comic Cons, because we used to travel to a bunch of Comic Cons. And that was a ton of fun. That was a whole ton of fun. But, yeah, I'm gonna say that may be an honorable mention. I don't know. It could be, maybe it should be my number 5. I don't know. But that was a year we went to, I know, Dragon Con, and had so much. I mean, if I'll talk about it, it may be my number 5. Dragon Con, went to the Knoxville Comic Con. I think it was called the Fanboy Expo. I think that was the year I met the Highlander, Adrian Paul. Got to be on stage with him. That's on YouTube somewhere. I should repost that. And let me see. What else? What else was there? We got to be friends with the Green Power Ranger, Jason David Frank, because we were at so many, he got to know us by name. And we even had a chance to hang out with him a few times. He was a really nice guy. I'm sorry that he, came to a tragic ending recently. But anyway, yeah, there was a lot of fun stuff. A lot of fun. Dragon Con was super fun. I think that was the year that I got to meet my favorite designer at the time who autographed my Zombies board game. And I cherish that. And that was the last year that he was alive. I think he died later on that year or early that next year. But yeah. So I mean, lots of good things, lots of good memories for 2013. When I started getting my Firefly DVD set signed by all the cast. I think the only one, even some that aren't around anymore, signed. I think the only signature I'm missing is Nathan Fillion, and that's because the Dallas Comic Con lied to fans about him coming, and then the day of said, "Oh, he had to cancel last minute." Can I get a refund on my? No, you can't get a refund. But that's the whole reason I went, was for Nathan Fillion. But anyway, overall, though, that was a really good year. I had a lot of fun. I want to say I went to Pensacon that year too, and I met Terry Brooks, one of my favorite, not Terry Brooks, Troy Denning. Hello, where'd that come from? Troy Denning, Dave Dorman, Star Wars EU fans would know them. And yeah, now thinking back, that was a really good year. No, I'm going to say it was this one. I tell you what, I'll talk about both of them, and then I'll decide right then and there. But right now, this is my honorable mention. I believe that year was 2013. Now, here's the problem. I tried to go back and see which Comic Cons we went to. But we went to some Comic Cons for multiple years in a row, but which ones were which year? I don't know. I can't remember. So I could get in some of these Comic Cons mixed up, because even though we went there, was it this particular Comic Con where I had that certain memory? That's where I get mixed up. So you know what? For that reason, automatically, I've just made my decision. It goes into the honorable mentions because I do not know if this was the Dragon Con that I did everything. Did I speak at this Dragon Con? I believe I did. No, that would have been 2014. That was Dragon Con 2014. Either way, okay, I don't care. I don't care right now. I'm overthinking this. All right, so honorable mention 2013. How's that? We'll just stick at that. Now, I thought, this is so weird, because I thought a lot of these years were going to escalate, meaning my favorite year was going to be my earliest memories. Because our childhood, those years hold the best spots, right? You could relive a year, which year would it be? It's probably a year from your childhood, right? And I do have some childhood years here. But oddly enough, besides number 5, these go in backwards chronological order. No. They do go in chronological order, besides the first one, is what I meant. So the rest of them start early, and then it gets better and better to my last best year. I've had some great years. Of course, 2019 when my girls were born, 2022 when my little babies, next little twins were born. Those were great years too. But those were just a single event that I could highlight. This was a year where everything was awesome, and I probably would have lived it again had I had the time, So here it is, top 5 years. Again, I could be changing my mind later on as I think about other years, but it takes me some time to study on these. Anyway, let's get to it. Number 5, 2005. A lot happened in 2005. In 2005, I finally left the bank. I was miserable. I was working at different banks at the time. I was way miserable. I'd left AmSouth Bank twice at this time. I turned in my 2 weeks. They passed me up for a promotion. I worked my ass off, and I was doing great. And they passed me up for promotion. I was pissed. Turned in my 2 weeks. Got an offer, a promotion from another bank. I was leaving with another branch manager who was upset too for different reasons, but we were both getting passed off, so we left. Same time, turned our 2 weeks. But when she said, she was in effort mode, and she was just coasting for those 2 weeks, which is what a lot of people did. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make them regret. I worked even harder. And I was a teller back then, and I wanted to be a loan officer. And at this new bank, I had been a loan officer. So tellers get graded back then on referrals, how much referrals. So I wanted to beat the entire teller staff. I wanted to beat them in referrals. Like my 1 referrals would beat all of theirs combined. Well, at the end of the 2 weeks, it didn't. I tied with them. All their combined referrals tied with mine. But in essence of input, what all came out of it, I was beating them by 6 figures. Hundreds of thousands of dollars I had made the bank. One guy had won a little bit. He came into some money. I don't know if he won a little bit of the lottery or got a big inheritance. And he deposited this huge check. And I told him it's going to be a while for it to go through the account. And he goes, oh, that's okay, because I don't want to spend it. He said, in fact, I'm looking at ways to invest it. And I went, you need to talk to one of our investors. And I said, I would invest the whole amount. He said, oh, I plan to. So I hooked him up. That investment guy came into the next day. He said, who is Matt Wilkins? And I said, me. He went, I'm taking you out to lunch. I said, what? He went, that dude invested $100,000, all the money with us. He said, because he spoke to you about it. He said, you are going out I'm buying whatever you want, wherever you want to go. So we went out to eat, and we were having a fun time laughing. He's like, well, Matt, honestly, I want you doing this. Do this for me more. If and he kept saying, if this department grows, I'll even hire you, to come work with me as a junior investor or whatever. And I was like, his name was Colin. I said, Colin, thanks for the offer, but I'm actually leaving next week. He went, what? I went, yeah, I'm getting another job at another bank. I said, they don't want me here, and they didn't want to promote me. I got passed up for another promotion, so I'm gone. And he was so upset by that. He said, man, I try to get tellers to do all this, and here you are, and they're passing you. He's getting all mad. I said, dude, that's okay. I said, I'm not mad. I'm getting my promotion just at another bank. Well, he went to the president, and the president looked at my numbers, then pulled me in on my last day and said, wow, Matt, you're killing it. You're killing it. And he said, he said, why are you leaving us? I said, because you passed me up for a promotion. He went, well, this person had a lot of experience too now. I said, well, BS. They're not from, they hired from outside the bank. I said, yeah, but they come from another bank. They weren't with us. I've been with you. Loyalty means nothing here. I said, and look at me. I said, I'm not complaining about that because that's how the business works. I'm getting a job over a bunch of other tellers at another bank because they value me. I said you should promote your own talent with them, but no one does that. So for me to get a promotion, I've got to go outward. And he went, Matt, tell me right now, what would it take to get you to stay? I mean, this was this is after 5 o'clock on my last day. I was going to walk out the door when he walked in and asked to see me in the branch manager's office. I thought he was going to get on to me because Jerry Maguire was out back then. It was kind of big, and we had a fish tank at work. I did a Jerry Maguire mock speech about I'm going and who's coming, and this fish is coming with me. And I said, who else is coming with me? And all the tellers raised their hands mockingly like Renee Zellweger and said, I'll go with you. No. I said, you can't all be Renee. Only one person can come, as a joke. Well, the branch manager was sitting right there in the lobby. He said, Matt, can I see him in the office for a minute? And I was like, oh, no. I didn't know he was there. And I thought he was going to get on to me for, making fun of me, on my last day, kind of making fun of the bank. Because, seriously, it was 5 o'clock closing time. That's when I did the speech because there was no one in the lobby. And so I sat in there, and instead we had this speech where he's going to offer me whatever I wanted. So I let him have it. I said, okay, well, I want to be a loan officer. I want it Monday morning, and I want a 20% increase in my salary. I said, all on Monday. And he said, done. And I said, damn, I should have asked for more. Oh, no. I should have asked for a 30% or 40%. So he would have negotiated a little bit. Dang it. I said 20%. Because usually I think the average is 5% or something, or 10% the most. And I thought, no, man, I'm going big. I'm going to go 20. But I guess I was getting paid peanuts at the time. He thought, yeah, I'll pay him more. But he saved me. He got my job. Well, 2 months later, I turned in my 2 weeks again. And the branch manager, because I was miserable at the bank. And my branch manager goes, well, where are you going to go? I don't know. I just know I won't be here because I hated working at the bank. And so they made an agreement to keep me on, and I could go to any interview I wanted. This is so messed up, but I could go to any interview I wanted to, and once I accepted a job, I could leave immediately. My 2-week extended notice is what they called it. So we did that. And I remember the day I quit was my birthday, on Memorial Day. They were going to have us come in and work. We used to have to work on the holidays. The bank would be closed, but there was a lot of paperwork we had to do. And they were making me work all day on Memorial Day. I said, but paying us time and a half. And I said, nope. I said, oh, by the way, I found a new job, so I'm done. Today's my last day. And she went, oh, you can't stay another? I said, nope, I'm done. I didn't have a job. And so 2005, I quit the bank. I call it the siesta, the year of siesta here. My good friend Jonathan still talks about this whenever he sees me. I took 3 months off. I'd sandbagged all that money. And I took 3 months off. I flew around the world. I flew around the country. I chartered flights to see friends everywhere. Had just an awesome time. And spent money. Took people out to eat. And everyone's like, do you have a job? I went, no, I'll pay for it though. And I was just blowing the money because I was just having a great summer. And eventually got a job at DirecTV, which I loved at the time. And there's a lot of good things in 2005. Another good thing about 2005 was the year I went to, I'd gotten the job at the DirecTV, and we'd gone to Comic-Con. And that was really the last year that the San Diego Comic-Con was any good. I heard in 2005 it wasn't selling out. They would maybe sell out Saturday afternoon on single badges, but the con didn't sell out back then. And I had tons of great memories at the San Diego Comic-Con back in 2005. I got to meet Ray Parks, who was really cool. I got behind the counter and started talking to him at the table later on because he showed up in incognito at an event that I was at, saw me talking to someone who was a kung fu artist, a kung fu master in real life. And the next day when I went by to see if Billy D. Williams was there yet, he saw me, pulled me back behind the table and went, hey, so you got to talk to Sensei so-and-so. And I was like, I was thinking, how did he know that? He said, I came to the movie. He said, but I came in disguise so people wouldn't know me. He said, but you got to talk to him for a little bit before he left. I was like, oh, yeah. And so we talked about him a little bit, and I was sitting in young Boba Fett's chair at the time, and he came up to me. He's like, hey, can I sit in that chair? I was like, oh, sorry. He's like, oh, no, that's fine. And he got me a chair and set me back there, and I sat there and talked to everyone. It was so much fun. And gosh, that Comic-Con was so much fun. I got to meet some of my friends from Phoenix at that point. 2005 was just a great year. Great. And then, of course, Revenge of the Sith came out, and I have a lot of good memories from Revenge of the Sith. I had my hair a little bit long at the time because I grew it out over the summer, and so it was a little bit long, or I grew it out when I quit the bank. It must not have been before the summer. Maybe I'm getting my dates mixed up here. Anyway, but I had my hair a little bit longer, and Revenge of the Sith, the showing was so great. That was back when movie theaters were so much fun to go to a midnight showing, and everyone was having fun and goofing off in the theater. So good memories on that, the last big Star Wars movie I saw in theaters. Probably the last good one I saw maybe in theaters. But anyway, that was so much fun. 2005 had a lot of good memories for me, all wrapped in one. So yeah, now that I'm talking about it, I'm glad I made that my number 5. Okay, so moving on. Number 4. Number 4 is a great year, 1986. 1986 is good for a few reasons. First off, for some reason, it's still my favorite year of the 80s. The Mets won in 86. That's a big reason. They won the World Series. The last time they've won the World Series was in 86. I loved it because I was big into baseball. The Jackson Mets, I lived in Mississippi at the time. The Jackson Mets, we used to see them all the time. And some of the players from the Jackson Mets played on that Mets team. In fact, an injured Mookie Wilson and Gary Carter both dropped down to Double-A in 86 and played a little bit before making it back up to the majors. So I got to see both of them play. I remember the commercial. Hi, I'm Gary Carter. Come see me in the Jackson Mets this Saturday. And I was like, Dad, Gary Carter's going to be there. And Dad's, a big baseball fan. So we went and saw that future Hall of Famer. Saw the kid. Mookie Wilson got injured in spring training that year. And so I think sunglasses shattered in his eye when he slid head first into second base. And so he had to take some practice swings for Double-A at the beginning of the season. So we got to see Mookie Wilson play. And I mean, it was great. Kevin Elster, who started on the Jackson Mets team that year, was starting in the World Series in September. How wild is that? And I remember the announcer saying, this kid started in Jackson, Mississippi, and who'd have thought he'd have been here in the World Series now, months later. And I was just beside myself. I mean, Keith Mitchell, who was also one of the best the Jackson Mets had also risen up through the ranks. He'd risen up. He started in Double-A, went to Triple-A, and then eventually got on the Mets extended roster in the postseason and got to play too that year. So you talk about some magic Mets, man. 86 is a great year. 86 is also when I started getting into baseball cards, and that 86 top set is still my favorite set to this day. I love it. I think it's beautiful. Plus, it reminds me of the time that baseball cards became a love of mine. I loved baseball cards for several years, and I wish I could love them today, but I don't. But that 86 series is still my favorite. Well, I can't remember what top set came out, but they did some flashback ones. They took today's or modern players and put them in the old card venues. Like Mike Piazza has an 86 card that I have. 86 Topps card. I think it's so beautiful, and I'd love to get a whole set of those one day, because I love that design, honestly. But it costs way too much. I don't want to pay that much for it. But I love that baseball card set. There's a Michael Jordan 86 Topps card that I've been trying to get. Every so often, I'll see one for $5 and just miss out on it because someone bid $6, and I won't bid more. I won't bid more than $5 on it. But I love the 86 Topps set. 1986. Was the only year my team won backyard baseball. You're like, Matt, what is backyard baseball? Backyard baseball is something that we used to do as kids in Forest, Mississippi, where I grew up. There were 4 teams back then. And we played in 85, 86, 87, 88. And in 86, we had 4 neighborhood teams who had 9 kids each at least. We maybe had some kids on the roster too. But, gosh, can I remember who was on our team? Let me see. Me, my 2 brothers, Michael Phillips, Bill Jackson, I don't remember what positions, Mark Sawinski, Chip Bunyard, Tom Walker. Oh, I got 8. Who would have been our 9th? I can't recall. But I'm sure we had 9. Jeff Fountain. Boom! Got all 9. Dude, if I sit down here long enough, I can tell you where they played too. I can tell you what I know. My brother I was the pitcher, Bray was catcher, Jeremy was shortstop, Bill was first base. Oh my gosh. Mark was second. Third base was third base was, it was Chip, Tom was, Jeff, Chip, and Tom, no, Michael were in the outfield, so Chip had to be at third base. Boy, wow, that's a real Sandlot moment, right? I still remember their names. Oh man, I remember we drew our names in color or something on the fence post when we won that year. But it was 4 teams, and we'd play in people's backyards. And of course, a lot of the games were played in our backyard. I thought we had a big backyard, we really didn't. But we painted out a little diamond and whatnot and played backyard baseball. And we won in '86. Now, backyard baseball would go on for a couple more years, even without us. We added 2 more teams in '87. We were cheating. We added a team. There were a bunch of little kids that wanted to play, but we wouldn't let them play. So I said, fine, little kids can form their own team. And we beat the snot out of the little kids. Everyone did. But they wanted to play. So kids that were younger than us got to play on a team. And then the girls. There's an annual Girl Scout club that met, and they wanted to play. So I said, y'all can have a girls team. And they actually won, I think, in '87. And I found out why. They were really smart. They kept planning their games for when they knew the other teams were either a lot of their players would be on vacation or they just wouldn't be around. And I remember they did it for us. They waited, and I got so mad at them because it was like September when they finally, because we had to play the World Series, and it was maybe October even. And I was like, girls, I mean, come on. Maybe it's November even. I was like, girls, we need to play this World Series between the two of us. And we finally did, but they played it during the Egg Bowl, which is Mississippi State versus Ole Miss. No one was available to play, and we got killed by the girls. It was just me and like 4 or 5 players. And I mean, I may even got some little kids, and we got killed by them. I was so pissed that no one could show up. But then I realized the girls were waiting for that day because they knew no one would show up. And that's how they won a lot of their games, I found out, because they were planning it during times when they knew no one was going to be there. So they would win by default sometimes. Some teams would forfeit to them. One team forfeited because they weren't going to be around. And I bet the Girl Scouts knew. So my hats off to the Girl Scouts. And then in '88, we had 8 teams. We expanded to 8 teams because 2 of them were just 4 or 5 adults who formed 2 more teams because I really wanted 2 more teams, and my dad said, like, well, I'll get together some friends and maybe get some other parents to put together a team. And so, the rule was for parents they only can have 4 or 5 players, and they didn't get a last at bat or whatever. I don't remember what the rules were. And a lot of times the parents let us win, but there was one competitive team of adults that won one year, and I was pissed at them. I was like, you're supposed to let us win. That's why we let you in the league. But I think after that, the league stripped that down to 4, and it went for at least 2 more years, I recall, without us. Because in 1990, we went to go visit, and they were still playing backyard baseball, but someone had told me it was just 4 teams now, just the original 4 teams that were still playing. And I was shocked the league was still going. So a little a little Sandlot action in '86, which makes it my number 4. Number 3, am I right? Yeah, number 3 was 1989. A really good year. I'm going to be short here because our last year in Mississippi, our first year in Monroe, Louisiana, I love meeting new people. And even though it was bittersweet saying goodbye, we closed up our school. The little grade school I was at shut down. That was their last year. In fact, eerily enough, that school is still around today. No one has touched it. Like last time we went, a few years back, I went by, peeked in the windows. The original desk and chairs are still there, still stacked. No one has touched the schoolroom. It has a rusted lock on it, and no one has been in there. Like whoever bought it only used the church part of it. It was on the church grounds, but no one knows how to use those little classroom. They're like these little, not mobile homes, or these little long tin sheds, but no one has used them since. The tables and chairs and the desk are still there from the 80s. I was like, oh my gosh. So I don't get it. But, I mean, the playground's gone now. But anyway, saying goodbye was kind of wild because we spent the summer or some of the summer with my grandmother and grandparents, and that was such a fun summer. And then we went to our new home, and everything was new in Monroe and getting to meet new people. And I'm all about the change. Most kids hate change, they say, but I was excited. I was excited for new friends, new way of living. We all became homeschooled at that point, and all got whoopings when my dad found out we weren't doing our schoolwork, and we all had to work one whole Saturday to catch up. That was awful. But either way, though, 1989 has a lot of fond memories like that. And maybe now that I'm thinking about it, maybe because I didn't pine as much as I did for 86, maybe I should switch those two, but I'm keeping it as is. Ooh, time's getting away from me. All right, here we go. I didn't think this would take this long. All right, my number 2, 1997. 1997 was a good year for me for a lot of reasons. One, of course, the re-releases of the Star Wars movies. That was really good. I had graduated high school, had gotten into college, my first year in college, even though I hated school completely. That was a lot of fun, a lot of good memories my first year being there. 1997 holds... there's a lot going on at this point. I absolutely had fun during my... I'd taken some time off between my graduation in 96 and 97. And that first half was awful. But the second half was pretty cool. And I think I'd gone up to Baltimore, spent some time up there, worked on a construction company for 2 months, had a lot of fun there. That's when I moved out of the house, too. Had, my first roommates were Bruce and Roger at the same time. Our very first memories, that we had tons of great memories then. But I think there was just a lot going on in 97. Which, you know what? I pined so much about 86. I should probably put this number 2 now. But 97 for me, no, if I could go back, 97 was a really good year. So, I mean, that's probably why. Anyway, all right, moving on, because I'm short on time here. But I do want to talk about the last one is 2014. Whoa, 2014, Matt. Yeah, that could have been the year. It could have been 2013, 2014. I know some of the cons I'm thinking about maybe happened in 2014. But one of the big things that happened, I was in Phoenix for like 6 months out of the year, like flying back and forth. Phoenix became a second home. I made new friends. I had a lot of fun, a lot of great memories. I was working really hard. I love it when I'm busy. I love it when work's busy. I don't think it's ever been busier for me. And I was just loving life. I love life on the road. I love the traveling. As people know, I did a lot of my videos, in Phoenix because I wasn't at home hardly as much. My wife came out with me a couple times. We had a bunch of fun. I spent every major holiday except for Thanksgiving and Christmas in Phoenix. And it was probably in 2014 when all this happened too. But I mean, just made a ton of friends. And it was so good. I'm still friends with a lot of these people still today. And I absolutely love 2014. Traveling so much. Phoenix felt like a second home. Being able to stay in a hotel room for an entire month, month after month, while other people come and go, and then it's just me, as my week would reset with new people, but it felt like I was the one that was still staying true. And then it always felt good to go home. At the end of that month, when I finally got to go home, it felt good. Even though it was just for like a week or two, and I have to come back up. But all the people I worked with was a lot of fun. The people I worked, around. Even outside of work, I made friends in Phoenix. And like I said, Tom, a big friend of mine. He's the one who bought this podcast equipment for me. I always think of him. I miss that dude so much. Mark, too, and Brian from Twin Sons Foundation. Tony, got to meet him. Austin and Justin, who I still talk to every once in a while. Tons of people out there that I just love. Tons of new restaurants. Me and my wife got to see a Diamondbacks game there. We spent an anniversary there. She came up and almost died during July because it was so stinking 115 degrees. So a lot of good memories. But to be honest, 2014 was just I think that's the first year I started drinking Bang, an energy drink that I still love today. But the thing is, though, everything about 2014 I really enjoyed. Now, here's the deal. That's not to say I haven't had, it's been 8 years since I had a really good year. No, I've had great years here and there. And I'm sure there's going to be some really awesome years yet to come. But for me right now, those were the top 5 I could think about. Now, my question to you is, what is your top 5? Do you have a top 5? Let me know. Does my year match with any of yours? Also, I should say this. When my kids get old enough to play some of the adult board games with me, whoa, watch it, because those are going to be some of the best years of my life. I know there's going to be better years coming out, and I can't wait. I can't wait to live them, and I'm hoping I'm there to see a ton of them. All right, folks, we'll see you next time on Saturday Morning Samoflange.